everybody. As some of you know, I ran the Beach Cities half marathon last weekend, and I was so proud of myself because I ran that half marathon, 13.1 miles, in 2 hours and 4 minutes. Honestly, I can barely believe it. That's 9 minutes 28 seconds a mile for 13 miles. Now, sometimes I tell people that and they look at me and say, well, yeah, but you know, you're like little and slim and you're active and you know, of course you can do something like that. But I'm not, I'm different. And I'm here to tell you that that wasn't always the case for me. Some of you know my story that when I started running, 12.5 minutes a mile was my very best pace and it just about killed me. But I set a goal. My goal was to be able to run 1 mile in 10 minutes. And it took me several years to get there. I was so slow. I wasn't a runner. I was much heavier than I am now. And I just stuck with it. You know, I didn't run every day of every week, but I kept my eye on that goal and I stayed consistent, and eventually I ran a mile in 10 minutes, and I can't even tell you how proud I was of myself. And you know, I started entering races and doing things like that and setting other time goals. And when I ran my first half marathon, it took me about 2.5 hours, and oh my gosh, I was just dying of pride. I couldn't believe that I could run that far and do so well. And eventually, over the course of the next couple of years, I decided that my next big goal was to run a half marathon in 2 hours. Now, I'm nearly there. I'm 4 minutes off, and I really believe that this year will be my year, and I think that I will make my goal this year, and I'm certainly training for it. I'm doing everything I can to get there. So whether I reach my goal this year or not, I can still be proud of myself because I'm going for my goal. I'm sticking with it. And I really feel like entering races and being part of the running community is what's helping me keep on track. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today, was involving yourself in your fitness community and being part of that, and being part of that bigger group of people who are all striving to achieve the same thing, which is to get to that finish line and to enjoy the process. You know, it's not just about the finish, it's about setting that goal and training for it and being proud of yourself week in, week out as you see yourself improve a little bit at a time. And you know, that's what really brings us to a lifetime of fitness and a lifestyle of fitness, is having those goals and those commitments and knowing that you have a race coming up in a couple of months and, you know, working towards it. So I really want to encourage you, if you're not part of something like that yet, start to look for that. You know, find a race that's a couple of months from now and sign up for it, and maybe join a local running club or a walking group or whatever it is that keeps you part of that group that are training and striving and working for something bigger. And, you know, I want to share one last thing with you. It was at the very beginning of my half marathon last week. I was about a mile or so in, and coming back the other way on that street was the guy who was clearly going to win the marathon. They had obviously started much earlier. And here was this man, and his head was up and his chest was out and he was pumping his arms, and he was literally running faster on his 25th mile than I can run at a dead sprint first thing in the morning. I mean, this man was moving so fast, and I watched him and I started to think about how hard he trained for that moment and how proud he was and how he knew that he was going to win this race, and he was just going for it. And honestly, I started crying. This is the first time I've talked about it without actually crying, because I was so moved. You know, he had worked so hard, and there he was, and he was reaching his goal. And here was me. Oh my gosh, I'm totally tearing up, which feels really silly, but this is how big this was for me. I got to be part of the same race that he was about to win. You know, I'll never compete in the Olympics, and that's okay. It's not one of my goals. But here I was in this race, running the same road as a guy that had worked so hard. And his name is Paul Saris, and he finished a marathon, 26.2 miles, in 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I got to be part of that too. And it was just amazing. So excuse me for being emotional about it, but you know, when you train so hard and you want something so badly, and you know, there I was going for my goal in the same race that he was winning, that he had trained even harder, it really made me feel part of it. It made me feel like I was a real runner too, and that, you know, that the whole community, whether you're that guy who maybe has been running his whole life, or you're me that had to train for years to even run at 10 minutes a mile, or, you know, maybe you're one of the other walkers that were in that race. You know, it's people of all ages and shapes and sizes and different backgrounds, and we can all be part of the same thing. And you know, it really touched my heart. It made me so proud. So if you want that feeling too, get out there, join your community, be part of it, because there's a place for all of us in those races, and it's just an amazing feeling. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Mwah.